What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Kick-Ass Podcast. We are here today for a quick impromptu show. I unexpectedly had a little bit of free time this morning. Some more things got delayed, so I was like, might as well take advantage of this little bit of time. The dogs are sleeping, except for Callie. She is always at work watching the streets. I would turn the camera if I could, but she likes to watch out of the window and watch the neighborhood and make sure there's nothing crazy happening in our streets. So shout out to Cal. But I say that just in case they get up or she barks or anything like that. I apologize in advance. But yeah, thank you guys so much again for checking out the show. I appreciate it. Today I'm just going to talk a little bit about what happened on Raw last night and some developments and what could be happening going forward. There was one scene in particular that might sound crazy, but that stuck with me um, through this morning, and I think it's going to be a very interesting potential twist going, or not twist, but just a nice potential little tidbit. I think that they can, and maybe a little seed was planted that they can reference and go back to and maybe start to water. So we'll see. But again, guys, I appreciate you checking out the show. You can follow me on Twitter at ASHMANNS, which is my personal page. But more importantly, you can follow the show's page at _. You can follow the show's page on TikTok as well. Sometimes I post like random little clippets or it's just random videos and stuff like that. So feel free to check it out on there as well. But with that being said, there are a couple things I wanted to address really quick before we get into Raw. And again, it's not going to be a full breakdown of Monday Night Raw, but just a couple things I wanted to just sit here and chat on. The first outside of the ring, though, we'll touch on everything unrelated to WWE first, which is just one thing. But when I read the original clip, or not clip, but snippet rather, of the interview, I didn't even see the original. So I'll stop being vague. The what I'm referencing is Goldberg's quotes and Goldberg's take on if he is signing or even interested in signing with AEW and if that would be a possibility for him and if he had been in discussions with AEW. The original place I saw the first paragraph from was from ProWrestling.net. So, of course, shout out to Jason over there. And then he had referenced Figure 4, where it's F4WOnline.com, which apparently, and this is a groundbreaking day, guys. This is a big deal. It's a monumental day. I I had no idea what that stood for, I'm sure I know I mentioned it in at least one episode. I've never followed Dave Meltzer or the Wrestling Observer or anything like that. Nothing like against them and no like hate or anything like that. It wasn't my cup of tea, you know what I mean? So I had never gone to the website. So when I said that before, that is the god honest truth, because when I clicked on the link that Jason had included in his ProWrestling.net article, it took me here and I was like, Wrestling Observer figure. I was like, oh shit. So I will give them credit and shout out for this transcription here, because that is, and yeah, maybe I'll even go to the article. The headline is Goldberg not interested in signing with AEW, says product is too cheesy. Goldberg appeared on 93.7 The Ticket over the weekend. So this is a brief just synopsis of the wrestling portion, I guess. Obviously I didn't hear the interview. I'm just reading what we have here. Says Goldberg isn't interested in signing with AEW. During an appearance on 93.7 The Ticket over the weekend, Goldberg said he's had discussions with the company but said the product is, quote, too cheesy, unquote. Goldberg said, I have talked to them a number of times throughout the past, but this is where you're going to get the most blunt answer you're going to get from me. The product is too cheesy. It doesn't deserve to have, whatever. If there was a comparable, viable option as a competitor that would allow me to still look myself in the mirror after I was a member of their roster, then it would be a consideration, but not a chance. I don't know why that tripped me up. Um, yeah. Goldberg made headlines last month, and then so that kind of takes it to a different subject. So we'll stop there first, and then the second part where I'm about to get to is actually what made me want to kind of go over this. The too cheesy. AEW may be a lot of things, bro, but like too cheesy is nothing that would ever come to my mind. I think my friend, good old Elvis Escobar, who's on the show with me a week or so ago, when he said they are, I think he said an organized or disorganized chaos. I think that's pretty fair. And that's not even a negative thing. And yes, obviously disorganized doesn't shed the best light, but right now, to me, if you kind of break that down, it shows that okay, you have all the pieces. It's just kind of scattered right now, and you just need to take time to sit down, take a look, overhaul of the entire picture, and put the pieces together. That's it. You know what I mean? Yes, that's gonna take some time, but you have everything there. Whereas if they were lacking talent, if they were lacking funds, if they're lacking visibility. Now, granted, yes, AEW still a lot of people still don't know about AEW. But that's going down and down further as we go along here. But it's gonna take time to build a name value, you know what I mean? Obviously they've done kick ass since then, but and your average wrestling fan, especially recently, will have at least heard of AEW. Now, if it's a casual fan, maybe not, or if they're an older fan, then definitely not. But yeah, like I think in that regard, there's always room to grow for that matter. And nobody obviously will be WWE, but like, because I'm just fucking look at them. But I don't think AEW is too cheesy or anything like that. Like that's just to me that's pretty disrespectful. You know what I mean? And it's just if you have a creative difference or if you just don't like their style and you just think they're whatever, then that's fine. But my guy, you were in WCW during some crazy times. So to say this is too cheesy, that's pretty bold. You know what I mean? And all respect to Goldberg, credit where credit is due for the work and everything that he put into the business. You know what I mean? I obviously have not, so I can't sit here and overspeak or overstep my boundaries and not even trying to. My point is to I can comment on someone else's opinion just like they can comment on mine if that were the case, you know what I mean? So my thing is with him saying it's too cheesy and when he goes on to say the product is too cheesy, it doesn't deserve to have, I mean, whatever. If there was a comparable viable option as a competitor that would allow me to still look myself in the mirror after I was a member of their roster, yeah, then it would be a consideration, but not a chance. That that's pretty emotional. That's not just a blank that it's very strange to me. That's a very strong response, I guess is what I'm getting at. Like I feel like maybe I don't know. I feel like there's something deeper to that and that's why it's kind of it has to be, right? Like if it's not, then why are you that offended? Why are you and that's my interpretation. Again, I didn't hear, so maybe the way he said it wasn't didn't come off as strong as what it's kind of coming off as here in the text, which is possible and happens with a lot of things. You know what I mean? But that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But it kind of got worse when I continued to read the article. So he says, or the article continues. Goldberg made headlines last month as well when he was critical of WWE having Asuka break his undefeated streak, referring to her as, quote, some Japanese girl, unquote. Asuka, and apparently he mispronounced her name because they put Asuka and then mispronounced in brackets. What's her name? Some Japanese girl. And they touted her as being the one to have the longest winning streak. And it just so happened that that culminated when I got there, right? Goldberg said to Tim Green, nothing left unsaid. That was just weird wording, so I'll go back and reread that for you guys and myself. So he said Asuka, he mispronounced her name, was her name, some Japanese girl, and they touted her as being the one to have the longest winning streak. And it just so happened that culminated when I got there, right? Goldberg was also critical of Vince McMahon and WWE having an interview with Steve and Captain Evil podcast in December. Captain Evil. He believes the company went back on its promise to give him a retirement match after he agreed to wrestle Roman Reigns at Elimination Chamber in 2022. Oh, and it stops there. Kind of felt like that was. I feel like something's missing. Does really just stop there? Yeah, everything else is that. Okay, it's kind of like a weird ending. Anyway, um, yeah. So the disrespect, some Japanese girl, like fuck off, bro. Like that's crazy to me. That disrespect is something else. And again, I didn't hear how he said it, but like I don't know that, and the fact that he mispronounced her name. Like, dude, you were in wrestling. Like, you were in the company when she was there. Like, obviously, you know, come on. I lost a lot of I don't want to possibly respect for him, but I lost like a lot of good whatever I had left of like goodwill with him and like wanting to possibly see something. Like and to be fair, I was never the biggest Goldberg fan, but I got it. You know what I mean? Like it was cool. And the concept of him was cool, and it worked. You know what I mean? Like he was crazy over, right? He was WCW's response to Austin. And tried to be, and he did make a difference. And the match that I was in 2016 that he had with Brock Lesnar, or yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 2016. Like that was good. And thinking back to his 2003 run with WWE, that always just tickles me. But we got Hollywood Rock out of it, you know. So I think Goldberg did bring good to the wrestling business, and that's why I'm not gonna shit talk him. But that's fucking so disrespectful, bro. Like that's just unnecessary. Especially when it's something like that, like that, and he should know that no wrestler has power over maybe the Undertaker, but obviously even Undertaker with his WrestleMania streak, like he didn't have the final say. Obviously, it's the company. So I don't know. It's just sour milk, it sounds like to me, and the fact that he's still griping that he never got a retirement match. Like, yeah, that would have been cool, but like, bro, like, come on. Like, come on. So he's just digging his hole deeper to me. And I mean, obviously anyone can come back, look at CM Punk. But to me, it's just unnecessary. And it sounds like someone who has a lot of anger or just resentment, and I think he just needs to have a couple conversations and just be good, you know what I mean? Just let that shit go. But yeah, that just kind of stood out to me, and I just wanted to reference it here. The other thing before, well, as we get into our WWE side of things, officially, I guess Goldberg kind of was WWE and slash AEW related. But Cody Rhodes is linked to the Naked Gun reboot starring Liam Neeson. The Daily Mail reports that Rhodes will make a cameo appearance as himself in the film. And again, this is from Jason Powell at ProWrestling.net, and he has the link to the dailymail.co.uk article if you can read the full thing. Powell says that Cody went to acting school and had a recurring role on the Arrow television show. While the role is listed as a cameo, it's also described rather as important in the report. There's no word as to how long Rhodes would be away from WWE while filming, nor has WWE or Cody confirmed the report as of this update. So pretty cool, and shout out to him. You know that Liam Neeson's a pretty big dude. So that's pretty cool. Um, but But I think it's gonna be really cool though to see what roles Cody gets going forward. And if he continues down his Hollywood role and his Hollywood route. Side note, just full of transparency. Sorry if it was like a little bit of a lag there. I had to pause the feed really quick and address some work related stuff. Because I do have to work today. Contrary to what it looks like. But yeah, so it's really cool, you know what I mean? They even though they said it's a minor role, it is an important role. And just the exposure and the experience, just super happy for him. Super happy for him. And I hope Hollywood doesn't steal him anytime soon from us. I doubt it. I think we still have probably at least 5 years left with Cody, I would imagine, on like a full time route, and then maybe dip down from there. He had mentioned before that he wanted to stop or retire from wrestling, or at least drastically cut back by the age of 40, which I think at this point is only I don't know how old he is right now, but it's not that far. So and then he was like, yeah, things change. Obviously, but just wanted to reference that because that's pretty cool. And it's just cool to see wrestlers continuing to get the chance in Hollywood. You know what I mean? see what you want about the final boss, but he broke down barriers for a lot of them out there. So shout out to the final boss and Cody for getting the chance now. But a couple things really quick from Raw before we wrap up here that I wanted to discuss as well. First, the opening segment, the actual opening segment too, the start of the show with Michael Cole and Pat McAfee. I think that's pretty cool that they just changed it up. You know what I mean? And I was thinking about it when I was watching it. Sorry guys, just taking a quick note. I was thinking about it when I was watching it. Like, would I want to see both of them start off WWE Raw each time, or each week rather, in the ring like that? No, because then that kind of becomes formulaic and kind of predictable as well. But I think it's cool to change it up like that. I think it's cool to just each week have a different start or a variation to the start. I was gonna try to put my hands in my pockets too. But I think it's just pretty cool that they went a different route. And it kind of have had like a kickoff, a mini little kickoff type show feel. And maybe it was just the fact that they were just standing in the ring, and Pat McAfee has a way of like kind of hyping up a crowd, whether you like him or not. Like he just kind of is infectious that way when you're there live. So it was pretty cool. But the actual opening segment that I wanted to speak to you guys and discuss was the Damian Priest and Jey Uso portion, because I think this was like one of Jay's top moments, and I think this is one of his shining moments in the promo rather. I think that he kind of needs moments like this, and there was a discussion I briefly heard that right after WrestleMania, if the Usos were going to get back together, especially with what happened after the beatdown with Jimmy and stuff like that. I, as crazy as it is, I really hope not. Like, I really hope that Jay continues to do his own thing and see how far you can go with him. Do I see him maybe being the World Heavyweight Champion? Maybe. On the Raw side, I don't see him winning the undisputed heavyweight championship, WWE heavyweight championship. I think that's what they're calling it now, non-universal. But I think he could, not right now, dethrone a Damian Priest, but I think he could dethrone a Damian Priest, or maybe even like a Drew McIntyre. Now, again, do I see them going in that direction right now, or anytime in the near, like within the next 8 months to a year? No, but I think he's a good, I don't even want to say B player, because that, people take that in a negative way, but I think he's a good upper card guy that you can slide in there almost at any time now. Kind of like a Shinsuke, you know what I mean? Shinsuke, you kind of assume Shinsuke is gonna lose, but there's that slight chance that maybe they may do something and put the title on him to rejuvenate his career and stuff like that, and to really go strong with him. So I think Jay is kind of in that realm now, in my opinion. At least that's what he's kind of veering into. Could I see them putting it on him at Backlash? I mean, that's not what I'd put my money on, but it wouldn't be. I'd put maybe like a 5 or 10% chance. Maybe five. Yeah, I'll say 5 to 10. I was gonna say 5 to 15, but I think 5 to 10 is better. Um, just in the sense that I was thinking maybe 15, because maybe if they wanted to throw like a monkey wrench in there and change things up, and it's going to be their first time in France, I believe, at least for PLE, that would be a really cool moment. But I don't think that we're going to want to do that to Damian Priest right now. And I say that because of how he handled and how he pretty much bodied this segment. I think he was great on the mic, and I loved how real he felt and how real what he was saying sounded and looked being his demeanor, and sounded being the way he would delivered it. It sounded almost like a normal conversation from that they were having, and we just so happened to be watching. um but it just, to me, it just kind of hit me different. I have the transcription here, a brief synopsis of it, thanks to Jason Powell at ProWrestling.net. But the part that I wanted to kind of focus on was Priest said he never spoke about it publicly, but there was one night when Jay whooped his ass so bad that he approached him in the locker room and told him that he earned his respect. Priest said that's why he wanted Jay in the Judgment Day. And if you remember, that was a nice tie back when Jay was first coming over to Raw, or in, I think even before then, Judgment Day, when they were kind of going between Raw and SmackDown, they were trying to court Jay into Judgment Day, and it obviously never came to fruition, but it's a nice little callback there, and it gives us more reasoning, and it kind of rewards you in a way of being a fan and paying attention to stuff where you could have just been like, oh, that's just a regular, normal backstage segment. But now, however, what, a year later, 2 years later, they're referencing it. And yeah, it wasn't even that big of a deal. It's cool that they even, something so small like that they referenced and they tied into it to just weave things. And a lot of people were saying Damian Priest and Jay, like that's just kind of like a thrown together match, and there's no real, there's a story, but nothing like too crazy behind it or too in depth. This adds another layer to it. You know what I mean? But Priest said, continuing, Priest said he took Jay out for drinks that night, and so let me back up a bit because I appreciated Jay's self what do they call it, self-deprecation or some whatever, but pretty much cracking on yourself. So backing up, like I said, Priest said that's why he wanted Jay in the Judgment Day. Priest said he took Jay out for drinks that night, and Jay said he took an Uber. And if you know, and it's not a laughing matter, obviously, but the Usos, and I don't remember which one specifically, but I believe one of them was having a more frequent issue than the other, when it comes to drinking and driving and DUIs. So that's what he is referencing there, obviously. Even, and again, even if you don't know that, it's just like a common, like I took an Uber, since he just referenced having drinks and he wants to appear responsible. But that was cool to me. That was just a nice little like, hey, I've grown. And when he said that, I was like, yeah, like it to me, the Usos that we have now and the Usos from back when that stuff was happening, like they're night and day. And just character wise, like, so I can only imagine how much they've changed and grown as humans, as real life humans, you know what I mean? And not the characters that we see. And granted, that's with all of us too, you know what I mean? Like if my everyday life was being broadcasted, or if every time I got a ticket or something like that, like it was in TMZ, or if I got arrested, God forbid, for whatever, you know what I mean? Like if I not only had to deal with that shit that I'm dealing with and whatever demons that I'm dealing with personally, and then have to worry about the judgment from thousands and millions of people. And then now my boss, my employer, they have to take action, and we have to have a conversation with that. It's just there's just so many different aspects of it, you know what I mean? So while at the time, I think it was 2018 maybe. At the time I referenced and mentioned that they should probably be let go to get some help. I think they did end up going to rehab or something to that effect. Maybe not. Maybe I'm conflating them with someone else, but whatever it is, I it just kind of reminded me of where they were as well and how much they've grown as characters, and then just as humans as well. Because I don't remember the last time we've heard anything negative about the Usos in public. So shout out to them, you know what I mean? And shout out to Jay for even including a line like that. And maybe he was just doing it as a CYA type thing, but I can appreciate it. I respect it. Sorry guys, I'm just doing some multitasking here. My dog was kind of wanting to come over here. But yeah, I really appreciated that, and it was just kind of like a cool moment for a lot of different reasons for me. But continuing on, Priest recalled Jay telling him that they were next. Priest said he was proud to stand next to Jay. Priest told Jay that he was half right and that I was next. Priest said, while pointing to the title belt as proof, said that Jay was the first in a long list of wrestlers that the machine would feed to him to make him look good. Priest started to leave, but then Jay asked him to stay. Jay asked Priest if he really saw him as just another tag team guy. Jay told Priest that he's only the leader of the Judgment Day because Rhea Ripley got hurt. Jay said that makes Priest the bitch for Dominic Mysterio. Jay said Priest would be fed to him because he's next, he being Jay. And that's when JD McDonough entered the ring and went after Jay, who avoided him. Jay threw a super kick intended for McDonough, but took out Priest. And then, yeah, they moved on after that. So I just really enjoyed the segment for what Priest did and just the exchange between them both. I think it was really well done. The other notable moments, obviously, the return of Gunther. I loved his presentation. I love how he gave Sammy credit. I love how he didn't take away anything that Sammy did in the match and how he thanked Sami Zayn. And while it kind of felt like the beginning of a face turn for him, it wasn't pandering, or it didn't feel forced, or it didn't feel even like it was a given that it was something that was going to happen or he was going to say. So I really enjoyed it. Like I was really into it, and how he set his sights on the King of the Ring and how he wants to go through and dominate that, and how he's pretty much a hunter now. So I just loved everything about it. I loved the presentation. I loved him saying his name, the full name, and things like that. But then the New Day came out, and I I like the New Day as wrestlers and as acts, in the sense that they're very good at what they do, and I love that they are doing what they do and are able to have done it for so long. And I think that they're very much needed. But I am so tired of the same old shit, man. Like it wasn't funny. It was kind of cringy to me, and I say that out of love. You know what I mean? Like, I don't say that because it's cool to talk shit, you know what I mean? Or anything like that. Like, it's it takes away from the moment. And even Gunther said it was beneath him. And like I was kind of like, yeah, bro, it is. Like this comedy act is it's beneath him. And it should be beneath all of them. And it should be we should be over that by now. Like that should be something that's like sprinkled in. But the New Day need to change. They need a new change of pace. They need a new day, is what I'm saying. So I don't know what that means, and obviously Big E is going to be out again for some time if he's even able to return, and that shouldn't even be a fact on whether they change their roles and change. And I'm not even saying turn heel because I don't even want that. I just want them to be more serious. I just want them to do something different. Like, and I know they have it in them, and it's not. It sounds crazy, but it's and I get it too, because they're probably making a shit ton of money, so why change the wheel if it ain't flat type shit, you know what I mean? But it's like, damn, that shit's been leaking air for a year now, you know what I mean? Years now, and you just keep putting more air in it. Yeah, it'll inflate, but it's still gonna deflate, and it's still gonna seep out, and you're still gonna have to address it at some point. And to me, I just feel like there's so much more that they could be getting out of the New Day and utilizing them, almost like gatekeepers in the tag team division, you know what I mean? They're kind of like they're in that role where you're good if like if you need someone to be tag team champions, like if someone gets injured or something crazy happens and you need a quick title change, they're your team, like they're that team. They are also that team, or you can get a fucking fantastic match out of them. However, they can be on the losing side and it not feel like the end of the world or that they're getting buried or whatever. They are good at taking losses. They're able to absorb it. So that's why it's so frustrating for me, because I want them to do more, and I want more for them. And I don't know if it's them just being like, "Yo, we're happy doing this. Like, why change?" And if so, then hey, that's cool, and it is what it is. But and I'm not even saying get rid of, like, I'm not saying do a complete 180 or anything like that. Like, you can still be the New Day, just be more serious. And come out there last night and be like, yeah, like, we really respect what you did, like the rain, like say we could say, this, that, and the third about you and your attitude and what we've been through and the wars that we've been through as a tag team. But man, like the run that you went on, the prestige that you gave to the IC title, like that really means something. You just hype him up. You know what I mean? Because it's that mindset of if you beat a nobody, then you beat nobody. So it's like, what are we doing? And to me, just the whole comedy aspect of it, and it was just kind of cringe to me, and it just really irritated me if it's not apparent. But I'd love to know what you guys think too, because I don't know if I'm just being too sensitive about it or just too nitpicky. But yeah, to me, it's just time for a new day. And now for the main event, of course, we had the Battle Royal to crown a new Women's World Champion, since poor Rhea Ripley is sidelined with injury. Shout out to her. Hope she's having a speedy recovery. Take your time, though, and enjoy the time off and the relaxation that you need. I'm sure she's not relaxing. She's probably already in the gym. But with that being said, the winner, and my pick going into it, and my hope was Nia Jax. Obviously, I knew that wasn't going to happen. The most obvious choice was going to be Becky Lynch, and that's who ended up winning. Becky Lynch outlasted them all to win her seventh. I was going to say sixth, but her seventh time as a women's world champion. And I get it, you know what I mean? And I love Becky, you know what I mean? Becky is one of my favorites, and has been for years now. But I was kind of hoping they were going to do something different. I get it though, and you want a strong champion. You want someone that you believe in and you're confident in, and you have trust already, and you kind of know what you're going to expect, or you know what to get rather. And it does set up good possibilities and good variables going forward. I didn't want Liv to win. I think that was a lot of people's choice. So obviously she can hold on to it until Rhea gets back. And then what I wanted to mention as well was the nice little and the interesting reference and video that were not video, but it was kind of I forget what he was doing prior. Dom was doing something, and then he was walking, and then all of a sudden he makes eye contact with someone, and it's Liv Morgan. So seeing them just look at each other face to face, and obviously Dom is going to be pissed that at Liv, since she took out Rhea, but there's a seed there, and that's what I was referencing earlier. There's a seed, and I think they planted it. They're going to start watering it maybe here soon, but I would not be surprised if whenever Rhea returns, if not at that moment, when she does get the title back and then she ends up facing off against Liv, if Dom costs Rhea the match at that point to have Liv end up winning the title and beating Ripley for it. I don't know though, because obviously Ripley and Dominic are gonna fight, they're not gonna have a male versus female match. Sad enough, but there's so many things you can do with it, and I think it's really interesting, and I think Dom and Liv would look great on screen together. I think Liv kinda has that look, and she's not as overbearing as Rhea. Rhea's a big woman. She's powerful, you know what I mean? Whereas Liv is a little bit more smaller and petite and kick-ass in her own right, obviously, but just two completely different versions of a woman, right? So I think that dynamic between Dom now kind of maybe not even being the alpha, but just visually being a little bit bigger, um, finally than someone that with on screen. I think that could be a very interesting piece. So with that being said, I think the fact that Becky won and the fact that the celebration afterwards was obviously what did it for me too. It was like, okay, and kind of like I get it. I loved it. You know what I mean? I love Becky going into the fans and hugging a few of the little girls that were over there and like smacking hands with the fans, and just it felt cool. You know what I mean? It felt natural. It felt like something Becky would do. And obviously she did it in the past with her broken nose and everything. There was a girl who was holding up a sign that said, women run the WWE or something like that, which is cool, and it was just a good moment, and it just felt natural in that respect. I think that Becky Lynch, obviously this wasn't what they had planned right now, but I think Becky Lynch is a solid player, and I think that I s- I'm struggling because I was gonna say I think that she's gonna be good for the long term too, but I can honestly see them flipping it and putting it on Liv, which is kind of why I'm surprised they didn't put it on Liv right now. Again, I wanted Nia Jax to win, and I think that she did look good here in the match as well. But I love me some Nia Jax, man, too. Like I don't know what it is. I've always been on the Nia train, so I would have loved to have kind of like an upset, unsuspecting victory there, but we didn't get it, so that's why I'm kind of holding out for that as well. But I will always throw love Naya's way whenever I can. But with that being said, guys, that wraps up pretty much the show for today. Again, this was an impromptu episode, so kind of very last minute, was unexpected. But thank you so much for checking out the show and the pod and watching, listening, whatever you're doing, wherever you're doing it. I appreciate you. I hope you have a great day. Watch some wrestling, enjoy that shit, and just be nice to everyone. We never know what someone else is going through. So have a good day, guys.